World War I ended when the Treaty of Versailles was signed on June 28, 1919. However, fighting ceased 7 months earlier when an armistice between the Allied nations and Germany went into effect on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. For that reason, November 11, 1918 is generally regarded as the end of World War I. In November 1919, President Wilson proclaimed November 11th as the first commemoration of Armistice Day with the following words: "To us in America, the reflections of Armistice Day will be filled with solemn pride in the heroism of those who died in the country's service." Armistice Day was primarily a day set aside to honor veterans of World War I. But in 1954, after World War II had required the greatest mobilization of soldiers, sailors, Marines, and airmen in the nation's history, after American forces had fought aggression in Korea, the 83rd Congress amended the Act of 1938 by striking out the word armistice and inserting in its place the word veterans. With the approval of this legislation, November 11th became a day to honor American veterans of all wars.
Garrett Cooper.
Okay.
I was a United States Army Ranger. And I went in the Army in July of 1983 and I got out in June of 1994.
My name is Amber Wellham.
Sure.
I was in the Air National Guard, so the Air Force, but the Guard part of the Air Force.
I'm Joseph Sitterlet.
And I'm Jerry Miner.
I had 2 tours in Vietnam, a tour in Iraq, and a few down in South America. I was in 30 years. Went in 63 and retired in 93.
What branch of service?
Army.
And I was in the Air Force for about 20 years. And I was in Japan during the peacetime, and then I was also later on in Vietnam when the wind down of the Vietnamese conflict was in progress.
Willie Dunnigan.
What branch?
United States Army.
Eric Gilkey.
And what was yours?
Ricky Hardiman.
All right. Branches there. Are you guys?
I'm Army. I'm also Army.
William Anthony Leggett. My branch of service was Army, and I've never served in a war.
My name is Ralph Payne. I was in the United States Navy for 4 years, from 1986 to 1990.
One of the things that stands out to me is that it wasn't no white, it wasn't no black, it wasn't no Hispanic. We were all green. And, we were part of one family. Because what it boiled down to is I might have to save your life one day. And you might have to save mine. And I think it was a type of esprit de corps that was, a camaraderie that, I've never experienced.
The most, positive memory I have of being over in Iraq was the camaraderie and the knowing that we all had each other's back. There was never a doubt. And then to see the difference that we actually made, there was a family with children and stuff that really, kind of grew on me because, once we got rid of some of the bad people, you could just see the difference in that family, how much better they seemed to feel, and it seemed like they were living better. So seeing the difference that we made, the camaraderie that we built with each other was probably the most positive thing from over there.
I think the most important medal I had was one that we don't see, and that's just being an American soldier.
Was there something special you guys did for good luck? Yeah, there's always, once you roll out on a mission and it's successful, you try and keep that mojo going. So you do the same thing. You do the same thing. Like when you radio check, you say the same things. So before we rolled out, I would always say, "Go Bucks" for the Ohio State. I would say, "Go Bucks," and then another guy would say, "This one's for Bo," because that was when Ohio State beat Michigan when Bo Schembechler died. And then as we were rolling out, you'd always say, Irene, 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 you know, like on Black Hawk Down. It's very superstitious. You do everything the same because when you're riding down that road and it just blows up beside you, if you make it through that, okay, now something I did is watching me get through here. So it's all very superstitious, very superstitious. Like blueberry muffins, I still won't mess with them because every time I got blown up, I had a blueberry muffin in my truck. So that's what it would be called when the IV would blow up, because I was the first truck. That was my job, was to be out in front of all the other vehicles of the convoy to get blown up, so the rest of the convoy could move through. So I got blown up so many times that we just started calling it blueberry muffin. So we didn't. So you just say blueberry muffin. That way they know that I got blown up. Just keep going.
Units in the war. You had the Army and the Marines that did the fighting, and then you had the Air Force and Navy that lived like they were back in the States. You know, we never seen a building. I was lucky. We never seen a tent most of the time. We'd have, if we was going to stay at one place long enough, we had sandbag bunkers, and that was it. My daughter was a month old before I even knew she was born. We never had any of this communication stuff. You might go out for a 2-week mission and stay 2 months and wear the same clothes the whole time. No piece of cake.
When I was stationed in Hawaii, they had to reroute the traffic leaving the base out through International Airport because you had a bunch of protesters up at the main gate. And some of us were so hit up about this Vietnam situation. They didn't reroute us because they were afraid that the people would hurt us. They were afraid that we would run them down. So this is why they rerouted us through International Airport to protect the knuckleheads out there protesting at the main gate.
I've been in 3 wars, but the most memorable one is Somalia. Took shrapnel to the face and to the back of my head, lost my hearing. I had 4 surgeries. We had a RPG, which is a rocket propelled grenade. It came to the building we was in, and when it exploded, it blew my helmet off, and I got strapped here and here. And when I turned to get my helmet, they shot another one in there. That's how I got this in the back of my head, and everything just went deaf. And when you train, you say if you can't hear, we do hand signals. So fortunately, I remember the hand signals. And I didn't join to go to combat, but it's just one of the perks of the job. But I mean, I didn't want to kill nobody. I didn't just, I'm going to be the first kid on my block with a confirmed kill. Combat ain't for everybody. That wasn't for me.
Were there many casualties in your unit?
Yeah, I had this guy, my friend Renzo Ruiz. After the second round came in, and I was on the ground, and there was a little guy. He came in, probably 12 years old, and he put an AK-74 in my face, and I already couldn't hear. I was just waiting for the shot. And then next thing I know, it's a blood splatter, and then he fell on me. I was trying to figure out what was going on, but my friend Lorenzo, well, we call him Zoe, he had shot the guy before the guy shot me. Then somebody came behind him and shot him, and so he fell onto the guy that was on top of me. And, I mean, that was my dog. He was my dude. And I want to be reminded, some things you try to forget. Being here is kind of hard because they want you to live with it. They want you to face it up, but just a door that I like to keep closed. But I have 23 friends that got killed there.
talk about one thing that I'll always remember, and it was on a trip down to Branson. All the shows, they always say, would the veterans stand up? And that'd be all they say, and I would never stand up. I would stand up then. Well, we went to see the Lennon sisters in Tony Orlando. Tony Orlando is good. And he did something that nobody else did. He says, well, the greatest generation in the world, World War II vets, please stand up. They stood up, everybody clapped. Now the Forgotten War, would you please stand up? They clapped. And then he said, now here we got this one. I want you guys to tell this group something they never heard. Vietnam, stand up. So I did, and he said, tell them welcome home. And brought tears. We never heard that. But a healing thing was going up to the wall in Washington, and they got a statue of the three soldiers. It turned real on me for about 10 seconds. Real guys who did the fighting, we'd go there at night when nobody else was there, because it's a zoo during the day. That's about it.